Hey, is this thing on? Yes, it is. Well, happy New Year, Coronado Rotary, and welcome to a wet Wednesday at the Hotel Bell. Starting off the new year, I'm kind of struck. I had a flashback this morning as today's agenda started to develop or unravel, as the case may be. And I was harkened back to I think it was my sophomore year in high school, and I realized when I came to class the day after New Year's that there were like half the people there, and I don't know where the rest of them were, and one of them was the teacher. So anyway, that's our program today is going to be a little bit of a pickup game. I'm sorry to say that our guest speaker, Lou DeBeer, went to the emergency room this morning, and we're getting a couple of updates on him. I think he's going to be fine. I don't know all the details, but as a result of that, we will be having a stand-in Rotarian give us a really exciting talk later on, and I'll give you that as the meeting here matures. And to kick things off, though, for 2024, we have Mike Wywoody, fresh from the COVID ward, and he's moving just wonderfully.
Please rise. Yeah, Paxlovid is magic stuff. Please join me in a prayer. God of all creation, as Rotarians, we start the new year with gratitude for our club's successes in 2023. We each thank you for surrounding us with a room full of role models who show us that there are many ways we can serve our world. As we enter 2024, we ask you to strengthen our commitment to service in order to advance understanding, goodwill, and peace through the World Fellowship of Rotary. For this we pray. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Okey-doke. We were going to give Dan Orr the day off because I didn't think we had any visiting Rotarians, but in fact, we do. So, Dan Orr.
All right, everybody. Okay. We have 3 visiting Rotarians that found us. The first, ta-da, in private banking from LA 5. When you get that old, you can have numbers. Please welcome Chris Siesco.
Hi, Chris.
Now we have the Pilgrimage Awards. Also in banking from downtown Anchorage, Joe Shirehorn.
Hi, Joe.
And then winning the Pilgrimage Award in classification unknown from the Rotary Club of Adelaide, Australia, Michael Nichols.
Hi, Michael.
Now do we have guests of Rotarians? Starting on my left, your right. We have no guests.
They didn't want to come to this deal.
Somewhat shrewd, I might add.
I'd like to introduce my mom, Jess, Nancy Shearhorn. Also,
That it? Put a fork in me, I'm done.
Well, not quite so fast, past President Dan. Now, at the previous, we'll fix that in a moment. At the previous Christmas luncheon, this was left behind. This is a spectacular photograph of Dan Orr and Kathy, which I'd like to put this up for auction right now, unless you want to buy it for $25 and be done with it. What, can anybody beat 25? Okay, he'll take it for 20. He'll take it for 25. I believe Jamie if you'll just add that to the foundation dues, that would be great.
Also, I brought my cell phone in here and lost it somewhere, so if you see a black cell phone with a boxing sticker on the back of it, it belongs to me.
That's also worth $25, so keep your eyes open. All right, I tell you what, hey, this could be fun. Can we have a moment of entirely dead silence, and let's call that phone right now.
He's not on anybody's contact list.
Okay, quiet.
Well, whoever finds it, it's worth $25, so turn 2. Okay, and that'll be it. That one's actually payable in cash. So. All right, now back to our originally scheduled program. You know, Dan Orr's always good for so many donations to this organization. Thank you, past President Dan. Okay, what we have next are, let's see, we got, you know, you can tell with this somewhat smaller audience we have due to the weather and the location today, we have Red Badgers led by JT Greenleaf. Are you here? There's JT. Terry Curtin, keeping the family legacy going. Hello, Terry. Tina Friend, who just had to walk over from the City Hall. Sarah Polkey, there's Sarah. Did Brian Smock make it? Well, no, I guess it's raining, so he must be out playing golf. And Eric Nelson, there's Eric. Okay, fantastic, good to have you guys here. All right, let's roll to the updates. I have to get out in front to see this. Okay, welcome to 2024. We have a lot going on this month, starting with our Rotary Social at Pat Flynn's house. 5:30 next Thursday. Bring your own glassware, something to drink, and a dish to share. Beach cleanup, which hopefully will have better weather than today, is on Saturday the 13th. Same place, same time. Flags on the Avenue, Martin Luther King Day. Monday, January 15th, same spot. And I think those dates or those times are still good. I kind of pulled those out of the standard, so make sure you check those in case the time change has an effect. Our board of directors meeting is next week, so if you're a Red Badger, please let me know if you'd like to attend that and check that off so we get enough chairs around the table if you want to see how sausage is made. And we have our second alternate meeting of the Rotary here, which is going to be pretty cool, and I'll show you some more details on that. So next slide. Pat Stark, did you make it? Did I read it?
Here you go, bud.
This is one of those walk-around meetings today.
So, you know, I like this time of year because right before the holidays, 2024 seems like a million miles away. And then, you know, you come back after the holidays are over, all of a sudden you realize the Iowa caucuses are 11 days away. How about that? And baseball opens up in about 60 days, yeah? And in about 90 days, the Rolling Stones are again going to do their last ever final tour. Sponsored by AARP. Now, the big thing, though, that's coming up that we didn't really think about is that next week we're going to have our organizational meeting for the golf tournament, because the golf tournament is on March 15th at the Coronado Golf Course. So that's quick. The one thing we have to do, there are a lot of things we have to do, but the one thing we have to do is we have to start getting people to play. And I will tell you that the first 10 teams to register, one person from that team will have a shot at a $100,000 hole-in-one. So that's what we're going to use as an enticement. So if you want to play golf, we're going to open registration next week. Meeting is at 1 o'clock at the golf course if you're interested in helping. Those of you who are on the committee know that already, know where to be, etc. But if you aren't and you want to participate, we'd love to have you. So next week we'll get started and start thinking about who we can get to play golf with. Thank you, President Bob.
Thank you, President-elect Pat Stark. Next slide, please. Okey doke. Speaking of the alternate meeting, so we're going to have this Thursday, January 25th, at the end of the month. It's at the Sharp Auditorium, and there's the address. And what we do, since we've resurrected this program, is we draw on our own Rotarian stock who have interesting tales to tell, and you'll get a little flavor of that here in a few minutes right at this meeting as well. But on the 25th, we are going to have Johnny Cushing come, and he's freshly retired from the Navy, and he's got a lot of cool things to show you regarding the F-35, amazing machine of war. And if you want to go to that, bring $20 and pizza and wine to follow. Next slide. If you haven't noticed, you're at the Dell. This is the first of 2 dates that we have already scheduled. So the next one is going to be March 6th, and we're going to take it day by day after that. Not sure what we're going to do following that, but we'll be interested in what you have to say about lunch today. And the next one will be on the 6th. Next slide. This rain that's coming down here is actually snow up in the mountains, and especially north of here. So we're all going to Bend, Oregon. There's 17 of us out of this club going, and it's not too late to join the crowd. We're going to have a great time. I'm going to drive up there myself. If you got any questions on ISFR, talk to Steve Diermeyer, me, or Marty Helmers. Okay. Final slide for me, happenings around town. I'm going to show this real quick because then I'm going to turn it over to Bob Syverson, who's got the whole show. This was a great deal. All right, Bob, you want to, where'd Bob go? There he is.
Here comes Santa. Santa program. First of all, would everyone who was part of the Santa program this year stand up?
How about yours, Pat?
It was free. Tim didn't stand up. He's supposed to be up here with me. Debbie said I'd be in real trouble if I didn't bring Tim up here. So I'm saying I wanted Tim up here. We could do Penn and Teller, only we didn't know which was which. So we're going to go with this. Thank you, President Bob and fellow Rotarians. Give you a little bit of background on the Santa program. This year we had 29 Rotarians, of which about a dozen were here. 8 Rotarian Santas, 3 Rotarian dressers, 2 Rotarian coordinators, and 16 Rotarian reindeer and elves. We had 17 non-Rotarians, including 5 non-Rotarian Santas. And I know we missed a lot of the ride-alongs, so whatever. The program took 275 hours of service for those who are looking for hours of service. And I want to say thank you to all of you, and a particular shout out to Chase Bank and to the fire department of Coronado, because without them, we would have been in someone's garage, and that would have been very uncomfortable. We did 368 gifts, which is up from 350 last year. We did 114 houses, which is up from 99 last year. And the press coverage was excellent. A real shout out to Suzanne Manuel, there you are, and to Eckenoff family. As a result of being on the front page of 2 newspapers, but particularly the Eagle Journal the week of it, my neighbor 2 doors down came down and said, Bob, your name was in the paper. And it's too late because you missed the opportunity to find me. But I could pay with this. The neighbor said, I'd like to give $5,000 to Rotary. And I said, we don't need it. And they said, no, I really want to do it. And I said, okay. So I just gave Jamie a check today for $5,000. for those who are Santas, we will be retiring some of the older suits, but not the older Santas. This year, it was really, we had some unique things happen, and you're going to see a news clip of one of them. We had a gift delivered on the Thursday before Christmas Eve for a 7-year-old Ukrainian girl who had just located to California from Ukraine, and to a family that was staying down on First. Team Daniel Stewart was the team that brushed up on their Ukrainian Christmas traditions. They have a green Santa. I don't think I knew that. I knew I didn't know that. I don't have to think it. And he said it was a particularly warm and spectacular event. And of course, Team Lowenberg, you're going to see them on the next clip that we have, and that was pretty good. We had visitors from Sweden, Switzerland, Mexico, United Kingdom, and Ukraine. And you wonder why I'm only on page 2, because he said our speaker didn't show up today. And I also looked at the agenda. There was a spot that had to do Phil. And I've heard Phil before, so we're not going to get that far. This year, as in every year, we're delivering to the grandkids of the kids who received gifts from a couple of generations ago of our Santas. That's pretty rewarding. This part is, I joke a lot about the Santa program, but the serious part of it is, 32 years ago, this young man over here, Ron Bernetti, knocked on my red badge. We didn't have red badges in. I had to go to a couple meetings and show up, and I would breathe into the mic. He said, "Would you like to be in the Santa program?" I said, "Yeah." I was the chairman of the Santa. Oh, see, we had a fast track. We didn't have to go to all these meetings to get to be responsible. And so for the last 32 years, Debbie, my wife, fellow Rotarian, and I have been on and off part of the Santa program. She's been with it the whole time. I say that not for that accolades, because I've been a Santa. I was drafted as a Santa because I was just standing there and one didn't show up. And I've been an elf and a reindeer and a co-chair, and all that's wonderful. My son's been a Santa for every year that he's been in California. And I've gotten to know some wonderful Rotarians through the Santa program. Santas named Watson, Walker, Heineke, Haley, Barnum, Harris, Wainwright, and so many more that I'm enriched because of that. And when you look out here, someone's going to be standing up here 30 years from now, probably over at the yacht club, and say, "Boy, I knew some folks, and I'm hoping that they're you." That they're saying that they knew you, the Stewarts, the Lowenbergs, those who gave so much on one evening a year for 2 hours. They gave up 2 hours for the Christmas Eve. And I'm going to finish with 3 stories. This we're supposed to clap. The Rotary Santa program, and David says it best, it's not for the kids. We get more out of it than the kids get out of it. Just the fun you should see the chaos down at the fire department of getting everyone together and then going into the houses and seeing the reaction you get. It's so worthwhile. Tim didn't want to get up and tell his story. His story was one year we were down there and all the Santas took off, as they do. And when they do, there's only the people that have to clean up the paperwork. And a sailor, we didn't know he was a sailor, he told us that he ran in and said he had a gift. And he says, "I've got this gift. I'm staying at the Best Western, and my kids think Santa won't be able to find them." And just at that time, a Santa came back because he forgot candy canes or something, and Tim said, "Would you take it?" And the Santa said, "Yes." And delivered to him, and the Santa told us later the kids were just over the moon. That's what we'll find, and you'll see it again in the clip. Everybody thinks, "Oh, we're giving gifts to the Coronado." And probably half of them are people who've lived here for a long time. But the other half, they've just moved here, or they're visiting here. And their kids don't know that Santa knows they're here. And that's a big deal for the little ones. Mine, and I'm going to look up at this thing here so I don't get too teary-eyed. I delivered one as a Santa on Adela Avenue. And I knock on the door. Adela Lane, I knock on the door. And this young lady opens it. And I look at the name, and I'm looking around and said, "Well, is name here?" She goes, "It's for me." And I said, "Oh, okay." She said, "Yeah, for 21 years, my mom would always give me a gift. she passed. So I live up to that. Sorry, I couldn't even do this at home, so that's, my glasses fogged up and I left. But that's experiences you get to have. A funnier one though, because I had that one with Debbie involved, and Doug Weisbarth, they get dressed, all the Santas get dressed and have to wear all the regalia, and it takes two people to get them dressed. And so Debbie's just pushing on Doug's stomach, pushing on him, said, "God, we gotta get that pillow in there, Doug, because we can't zip up the jacket." And Doug's just rolling, he's laughing like crazy. So he says, "What's up, what's up?" He goes, "I'm not wearing a pillow." And so with those good stories and such, I hope you can tell that those who get involved in the program, they get very emotionally involved in it. And we're hoping we have so many volunteers next year that we just don't know what to do. And with that, now I'm going to have Cisa Beal, the mill over here, roll the tape to show the news clip that we made on Channel 10.
ABC News reporters Mr. Shosher is in Coronado, where the Rotary Club has volunteer Santas and elves traveling all over the island.
The elves are loading up the sleighs. The magical gift compartment in the trunk of this Subaru Outback has toys for Coronado kids.
It's so much fun, the kids love it, everybody loves it.
In the back of the Coronado Fire Station, Santa, or Santas, are getting dressed, growing out their beards and putting their bellies up. They're ready to go door to door, passing out presents to kids.
People think we're kind to volunteer. I think we're the beneficiary of just the joy that we see through the children's eyes.
One Santa is feeling jolly, letting us tag along.
Now, our Santa was nice enough to let us see his list ahead of time, so we're at his first stop of the night, where two kids are about to find out that they're on the nice list.
Hello there! Hi! May I come in? Okay.
Santa is welcomed in with open arms. His reindeer are eating good tonight too.
Oh, Kim, give it to Rudolph. Great, thank you.
He comes with presents and leaves with big smiles. It's the Christmas tradition from the Rotary in Coronado.
Elf, we gotta move on.
And in its 94th year, it's as good as it's ever been for everyone.
You see why I do it. Emotions, expressions.
Spencer Soysher, ABC 10 News.
Wow, that was awesome. Thanks, Bob and Tim, for leading that. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say that was a family that just moved here to Coronado. It was in the Navy, so it was a new family that had just came to Coronado and in the military. And I don't know how we found out about the Rotary program, but they were just really here.
Well, anyway, yeah, it's a hallmark, no pun intended, but it's a hallmark moment, isn't it? And 94 years in running, and thank you both for leading it, because it's something that is pretty cool here for the community. Okay, so one more sort of pickup item, and that's Mike Nichols from Down Under. I think you have a banner, and we have one somewhere, but we're going to mail it to you. But we'll do a photo op and next to our big banner and make the best of it.
Yeah, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Adelaide, I'd like to present you with this banner. We meet at the Adelaide Oval in Adelaide, and it's the second largest pub in Australia. Not sure what the membership list is. I think it's like 150 or something like that, with probably 70 or so regular lunch attenders. But yeah, we just celebrated our centenary year in 2023. Thanks for having me.
And I do promise that check will be in the mail. The banner will be in the mail. Welcome, and please enjoy your stay here in our lovely town, and we're so glad you joined us for lunch. Suzanne and I had a great time in Melbourne and traveling around in the southeast part of Australia just in June, which I'm sure the weather's much better now than what it is. Anyway, thanks for joining us.
Okay.
That wasn't me. Okay, as Bob said, we did have a safety valve in case because we had a couple of cancellations on the agenda, but I think we're going to be just on time. So whenever we create the speaker agenda for this club, we get some really exciting people to come talk to us, and we recognize that stuff happens, though, and that's, of course, what happened today. But with that realization, we always have a ready alert, a turning spare, if you will, from, with our membership being what it is, we have some very interesting people with some very interesting stories in this club. And so in preparation for possible dropouts like we had today, we have a rack and stack of folks that already have briefs in our file, our electronic file, and they're ready to go on a moment's notice. And so I'm really delighted to welcome Ivan Dunn here, past President Ivan Dunn, who will talk to us today about what I would have said a few years ago is a new and emerging hobby and or technology, but now it's pretty mainstream. And it's amazing because it's going into all sorts of applications, and if you read the front page of the paper every day, some of them are not good, but a lot of them really are. We're using these kinds of tools for firefighting, law enforcement, if you're watching any of the great football games this time of year, a lot of that's coming from drone video as well. So it's a pretty cool technology, and it's getting more and more complicated. Ivan and Brent Bennett and a couple of us had an opportunity to go see what the kids are doing with these things in a drone competition a couple of weeks ago where we served as judges. So it's pretty cool. Those are the people that are developing this technology. It's amazing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ivan, and thank you for flexing on a pretty short-fused tasker. And here we go.
Thank you, President Bob. Yeah, this morning I'm getting over, flying home from, what's it called?
Get away from this speaker. Yeah, don't hit that.
Flying home from Asheville, North Carolina last night, and jet lag this morning. I get this phone call about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and Bob says, "Hey, we got a problem." I said, "Well, you got a brief, I got a brief. You're on that list too." And he said, "No, it's got to be you." So he knew that I'd put this thing together, gave it a couple times to a church group, where I could actually launch one of these drones and fly it around in a room and take pictures of people. I'm not going to do that today. Somebody from management came in a while ago. They saw me put these drones out, and they said, "What are you going to do with those things? You're not going to fly them where you have to go." No. Anyway, we've adapted this thing to just give you guys an overview of what this hobby or whatever you want to call it has evolved into. My interest in it started with a little bitty toy drone that somebody in my family got me for Christmas, and it didn't have anything in it, no stabilization features, no obstacle avoidance, nothing. It was just 4 propellers and that's it. And I was really glad that I got to a point where I could actually fly it far into the room and back without hitting any furniture or anything like that. So I got interested in it.
And then step away from the speaker if you can.
Okay. How about I just get out of here? Okay, throw the first lap. Okay. Toys to weapons. Can I raise it back? Bob referred to enforcement concerns, parks, stupid people doing stupid things around fires and airports and so forth. And folks like me that are avid hobbyists with this capability are totally against all of that, and in every which way we can, we advocate that. Make people avoid it. Yep. Closer? Okay, your ears are gonna hurt. as I said, started with a small toy and got more serious, particularly during the pandemic. I mean, I have to tell you, that was a time where I relied on this. I got interested in a tree, a toy pine tree over on Gloria Avenue that's home to 13 nests of blue herons, and I started flying on that tree. I had a drone, I'll show you in a minute, that has propellers that are soft, sound deadening kind of features, and it's got a telephoto camera. And that wound up being in the Historical Association's pandemic display down there. Thanks to Sharon Raffer, she got interested in it, and we put together some stuff, and it was highlighted. But anyway, I got really interested then, and I spent some money. Bought this thing here, and that's the iconic, drone that you see on signs, "Do not fly here," and that kind of thing. It's heavy. It's rigid. It's got 12-inch propellers. It has a beautiful camera down here, and a gimbal that, it can be doing this, and the camera is steady. And that's what I started with. Okay, I'm not going to hand it around, but a lot has happened since then. Okay, next slide. Very busy slide. I'm not going to try to go through it. It's just something I captured that has all sorts of different career paths that have evolved, and that slide's probably 2 or 3 years old, so you can probably add a lot to it. Okay, next slide. My first high-end drone experience, no pun intended, was the one I just showed you. It had what was called brushless motors, satellite connections, GPS satellites. It had a gimbal apparatus in the front where the airplane could do this and that. The camera just stayed steady as rock. The ability to download photos, take quality photos, and then download them and edit them and so forth, came with that airplane there. I have uploaded a lot of them to YouTube, and the other thing it has is a return to home feature. That probably interested me as much as anything, because what that does, if the airplane gets out and the signal gets lost, the airplane is programmed to go up to a set altitude and come back home. That was a confidence builder. I mean, my fear was always that thing was going to go flying off someplace and I lose control and lose sight of it. Anyway, can you run that? I don't need to run the whole thing. But this is the kind of stuff I did with that big whiteboard. One morning, down in Titans, I said, oh my God, I'm going to put that thing up and let it sit there and just look. I added the music. Anyway, that gives you an idea of what you can do. Next slide. Okay, so something happened with this model, what's called the Mavic 3. Okay, things like this. It folds it up. The propellers fold up. The arms fold up. The camera's got a telephoto capability. It's heavy, but sound deafening propellers. That was a game changer for me. And I didn't bring it, but along with that drone comes a first-person view capability, like a virtual reality goggles, I guess is the best analogy to give you. Put on and you see what the camera sees. So you're standing there flying and it's off. It may be, who knows where, but you're seeing what the camera sees. Legally, you're supposed to have someone with you spotting and in control, which sort of obviates the need for first-person view, to be honest with you. But anyway, that changed my life with that, because that gives me the ability to go fly up above that tree on Glorietta, see a nest with chicks in it, and the mom feeding the chicks, and I can stay up above the nest where there's no noise, there's no downwash or anything, get a nice, with these goggles on, I can get a nice close-up, linger, get to see the mom, being choked with the bird, trying to get the fish out, get fed. But that really changed everything for me. Portability was a term that came out, and that has to do with the folding technology I showed you with the arms and the propellers. You take something that's big and heavy, you can put it in a backpack, you can put it in your luggage, you can take it on an airplane. There's rules with that regarding batteries and so on. But the game changer was the telephoto and the stability. The big white one, you put it up at 100 feet, 200 feet, and the airplane might start doing that, and the propellers would dip down into the video, and that was kind of discerning. So with this guy, that Mavic, no problem at all. The stability of it, you never see the props. You don't have anything interfering with the quality of the video. You also have to register it with FAA, and it has a registration number in there. And examples of the capability of that, I'll let that too. Some of you know one of my pet areas to go look at is the solar salt works down in South Bay. And most of that area you cannot fly, it's a restricted zone. But there's a lot of areas down where you can, and of course I can fly outside the boundary, get it up high and use the telephoto capability and just watch this operation. I'm fascinated by it. I go by it every day on my bicycle, and I'm still, fascinated by what they do down there. But most people don't know, it's on the other, it's over east of the 5, west of the 5 if you go south. Anyway, that's an example of what kind of stuff I do with the Magic. The Coronado Times did an article, an interview of the owner of the house on Glorietta that is where the blue heron tree, I call it, there's 13 nests up there, and in June or in spring you'll see 50 birds up there with parents and babies. And the owner of Refugio Roken was interviewed, and they interviewed me and combined these two interviews in this article. If you're interested in it, I'll send you the link. Really good article that they did regarding that tree and the history of those birds, and then all the number of videos and photos that we had to attach to the article regarding that sanctuary right here in the middle of town next to the golf course. Okay, next slide. And then this little guy came out. Okay. The Mini 3 Pro. This thing weighs 249 grams with a battery, which means you don't have to register it. But that's not a big deal. I don't mind registering my drones. But it does everything that the bigger one does that I showed you a minute ago. And my first experience with it was Tim Quatt's got one of these things. And he asked me to come down and teach him how to fly it down in Thailand. So we got down there, and he hadn't even charged the batteries yet. So we're down there kind of starting from scratch. And I put it up for him, and it was a windy day. And it just went up, and it was doing like this, but it wasn't drifting. The video was steady as a rock, and I was just impressed with it. He was getting ready to leave on the USNS Mercy, and he wanted a drone to take with him on the trip. And so I taught him how to fly his drone. There's another guy in the room who fancied himself as a drone pilot, and his family got him a drone. It hasn't even taken out of the box. He's on the city council. I'll leave you. I'm getting through them probably a little faster than I need to, but anyway, a summary. They're not toys. I don't treat them like a toy. I'm serious about not trying them. Although you do encounter funny things. I'm over at the drone tree here about a month ago, and I've got these goggles I put on, and I can see, as I mentioned earlier, what the camera sees. And I hear this voice. This lady had pulled up across the street. She came across the street, and she said, "Sir, you're not allowed to take off below 100 feet in Coronado." And I'm sitting there trying to figure that out. What did she be telling me? I said, I was already in the air. I said, "Oh, that's interesting." And Refugio was standing off. He didn't say anything. So I put the drone up a little higher. And I said, "Well, I'm just going to take some pictures of these birds. I won't be here too long." She said, "Well, there's a lot of military around here too." I said, "Oh, yeah, that's what I hear." I said, "Get this thing down on the ground. Don't argue with this lady. Just don't get it." Same area, owner of a house, and this probably concerned me a little bit more. She came up the street one day and said, "You can see me in my backyard." And I said, "I'm not looking at your backyard. I'm looking at the tree. If it's up in the air, and I can see the drone, you can see me." And she had a point, So, again, I got it down. I was respectful. I didn't want to invade her privacy. So, these are the kind of things that you just have to be aware of, that you're not being a pest or whatever. and they're dangerous under certain conditions. Question?
Do you and Dave Johnson use the drones to spot donuts?
That is a really good question. You could do that, and I have not done that.
Do you want me to ask that in front of everybody?
Could we hear the question again?
I was wondering if you and Dave Johnson use the drones to spot donuts.
She's referring to one of the most notable president roast ceremonies this club has ever had. I'll get that filmed. You can put me down for an alternative meeting for that. And, yeah, and part of that was a slideshow of the donuts that Dave Johnson brought to the beach cleanup program, and Kevin G did a video with me and my Southeastern accent and I don't know, 5 or 10 slides of, and we've got these kind of donuts and these kind of donuts and these kind of donuts. What you talking about? That's what she's thinking of. And they're, as you know, they're becoming more and more useful to things like life saving. I've heard about, the folks out here, the guys on the beach taking care of folks using them. I think the other day when that sailboat came up on the beach, and the kid was, hollering obscenities and so on. I think a drone got involved in that thing. Law enforcement, I would shout out to Chula Vista. I think back in 2021, they were able to get FAA approval to set up a drone program that is integrated with their 911 system and law enforcement. And that thing, has saved lives, is what the feedback I received. For example, a cop's going in, a car is going in hot to a house where they think something bad's happening. The drone goes out there, looks down, nobody's got a gun, it's just a domestic shouting match in the front yard. And so, hey guys, the drone's on top, everything's cool, go in slow. And then of course the other time when it points out there is a threat, you need to, get ready for that. Ethics issues, privacy, I think being probably as important as any. Ethics issues in warfare. I know you're reading the news about the proliferation of drones in Ukraine and elsewhere, and there's folks who are still wrestling with that. There's remoting the notion of warfare, taking the personal element out of it. So, and I don't think we've met the solution to that. It's just kind of technology versus ethics is not a new thing to most of us in the room. That's one of them. Let's see, next slide. Oh, this is cool. Everybody in here knows Connie Stitzer. And Connie said to me one day, she said, Ivan, I want you to help me with a painting I want to do. I said, what do you want me to do? She said, I want you to get your drone up and get a line where the bridge starts to curve down that goes from the bridge to Dell to Point Loma. How would I do that? First I'd have to get up above the bridge. Then I'd have to fly over the bridge. But that's probably not legal. And so I'm down there one morning early, and I said, hey, I'm going to do it. About 6 o'clock. So, so long ago, probably I'm hoping that, we get a lot of folks here in the city that might not like to hear this. Anyway, I put it up, I got up above the bridge, I went out over the bridge, and I said, y'all get the Navy Yard behind me. I'm up at 300 feet. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And I whipped it around 180 degrees, and there was a line. It was a perfect line. I snap, snap, snap. Moved it over a little bit, moved it up a little bit, moved it back, snap, snap, snap. And she took that painting, those photos, and produced this painting. It's kind of cool.
Where were you? How did you get it up there? Were you on the bridge?
Yeah, that's probably illegal too, but I was sitting at a bench at the far end of Tidelands Park, the picnic bench. Oh, okay. And it was early in the morning, and I had these first-person view goggles on. So I broke probably 3 or 4 rules there. I went over the bridge. I didn't have anybody monitoring the drone. Yeah, hey, yeah, I think the timeline is good stuff. Yeah. Got it. Jamie.
Thank you for doing this in such a short notice. It's great. 2 questions for you. One, can you show us those birds you keep taking pictures of? Because that sounds pretty cool. And two, like when you went down to the salt mines and all that, or yeah, how do you know as a drone flyer what your boundaries are with the FAA?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
You know, when you're flying these things, I'm picking this one up because this is the latest one. This is the control. And on that screen, I can light this off without worrying about automatically lighting the drone on. On that screen, you can see it, I just turn it on, I'm looking at what the camera sees. Okay, and down in the bottom left of that, there's a map. So, you know, I don't see it here because it's not connected to the drone. I hit that map, and suddenly that screen becomes a map. And the drone is a little blue, you know, arrow-shaped object, which tells me where I am relative to these boundaries, which are also GPS, you know, results of GPS. So you know, and then on top of that, if you start flying up to a boundary, there's a voice that comes on here. You are approaching a, you know. Just a little bit about Bob. Glad you came up here. This is a controller, and this controller has 2 sticks on it.
Evan, how often do you ignore that voice?
I mean, it will stop your drone. So this is one of those things you can't ignore. You can apply for a 24-hour period of being able to fly beyond, but I don't mess with that. I did have this happen. I stopped on the bike path. I put the drone up in South Bay, and I went over the fence, and I wanted to get some shots of this harvesting effort going on. The drone fell out, just fell down to the ground. What am I going to do now? So here comes a truck, an employee. Sir, would you mind picking my drone up? He got out and he said, yes, sir, here it is. And, you know, this is not a place where you can fly. I know. Got out of control. What? Bob?
What rights should the individuals have? I had a drone come right down to the back of the yard, 6 feet off the ground when I'm sitting in a jacuzzi on Monterey. Do I have the right to?
Yeah. Privacy's being invaded.
And part two, you mentioned about the military being there. Is there a line that the drones are not supposed to go across?
Yep.
There's
a big circle, and I live on C Avenue. It comes around and touches Orange Avenue. So there's an arc. You know, I can fly in certain places where the arc is coming down, and maybe I can go on the other side of the orange. But basically, you can't go on the other side of the orange. I mean, there's the arc associated with North Island. North Island, yeah.
But you could go, how close to get to the amphibians?
No, I don't fly. I won't fly there.
Can you show us the birds? I would like to see them.
I don't have a video, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I will send you the article. I'll send you the article which has all of the, I think the best of the best shots in there. Yeah, we'll give it to you. Okay, I'll do that too. Okay, next slide. I think that's, okay, this is what not to do. I think this video will work. Again. I've said that same table. One morning early. This was 7 years ago, I think. I'm worried here because I'm low and I'm quite a ways off, so I'm worried about the signal strength. Now I gotta get home. I don't want to go over the bridge. So what do you do? And there's a nice little, after getting on the bridge, I do a nice little ascending action. I go up. It sort of has an effect. color's not coming out on this. There's a lot of really neat color in this one. Yeah, now we're gonna go up. Now we're gonna do a 180. Again, when you do this stuff, you're using this. You said, messing with the sticks. So I went from under that bridge, now I'm still out over the water, but I'm up at about 150 feet there. And I go home. I go home after that. I don't cross the bridge again.
What's the range? What's the range?
That's a good question. This Mavic, the gray one back here, vertical range, because this is a line of sight signal. So you got a horizon to deal with. But there's a YouTube video of that thing going up to 16,000 feet. Now, I think what you're talking about is how far out. You know, the limit is the AGL, the FAA limit on altitude is 400 feet. And if I get my drone up, it's a mindset of 380. And if I get it up to 380, the voice, because and why is it a woman? I don't know, but it's got this woman that's telling me, you're reaching maximum altitude. You can go so it's threatening you. But I can go out 2 or 3 miles. I was at my daughter's house this week, and there's a river. You stand on her house on a mountain, there's a river out there. It's about 1.5 miles away. I said, I'm gonna fly down to the river to see if we got any signal issues here. No problem at all. You know. So the next time I go, I want to fly it over to Cold Mountain. Which is a movie made about that. Anyway, any other questions? I think that's the last slide. Is that the last one, Joe? But one more story. You all know Bob Griffin. Bob and Mary had their house tinted, and they wanted me to come down and get a shot of the roof of the house before the tinting. I went down 15, 20 pictures, and then the tinters came, and they come back and get another set of pictures of the house. And, you know, they wanted me to document the damage, and there was a lot of damage. And so they had the roof fixed, and they wanted me to come down and get another series of pictures of the roof after it was repaired. And, you know, I want to do that because he's a friend, you know, and I want to do what Connie wants because she's a friend. I'm not doing this for money. It just, to me, it's a fascinating technology. It's, you know, there's a group of us on Facebook. There's 3,000 people. The name of the group, I don't want to mention it, it's slightly off color, but it's just a bunch of, you got to be 70 years or older to join the group. And we trade a lot of stories about, you know, good things, crazy things, funny things, and so on. Anyway, I've enjoyed. One last question.
You know, what are the parameters? I mean, how you start to address it, but what's the time?
These things will go out 4 or 5 miles.
I mean, how high, how far,
400
and how long does the battery last?
Good question. 400 feet is the limit. Normal battery life is about 25 minutes. I bought one here a while back. It's 45 minutes. It's heavier, but that's 45 minutes for me. I've got one battery. Put a little gray one there that will put it up to 40. But it will warn you you're getting low on battery, and if you don't start coming home, it'll take over and send the airplane home. Okay, John, you gonna fess up or what?
No. So just 2 quick things. One is, you know, this shows how passionate you are about drones. You said to me, you need to watch this movie, High in the Sky. I said, oh, okay, sounds great.
E-Y-E, not high.
I'm sorry,
E-Y-E, Eye in the Sky.
Eye in the Sky, so I'll watch that movie. So the next morning, he tells me like a Rotary meeting. The next morning I wake up, there's an email. What do you think about the movie? I said, I'll watch it tonight, and then just the other thing I thought you might find interesting, so I talked to the FBI agent who's in charge of security for the Super Bowl. He said the #1 threat that they have to deal with is drones.
Just cases out there.
Just taking it down.
Yeah, taking it down. And that puts everybody at risk, you know, literally and figuratively. Okay, thank you for your attention. Oh, I did this for my church. I put this guy up after my briefing over at my church, and it's not in the no-fly zone. And I took it around the room like this, something like this. Took it up to the table, shot a few shots here, a few shots there, and then took everybody out in the parking lot and gave them put the goggles on and gave them a ride. Yeah. We can't do that here today, though.
Put that away. First of all, thank you for stepping in on short notice. And this is, notice a couple things. Well, footnote to some of the things you said. Number one, of course, you call them drones. Those of us that were in the military side of this chafe at that term. We call them UAVs or UASs and think that drones is a derogatory term. So, but can you imagine, if you've seen the ones that you brought in here, they've gotten steadily smaller. Can you imagine that one that he's got in his right hand right now? And there are drones out there today that are the size of a bumblebee. And can you imagine? And there's no reason they can't continue to make them smaller because insects do it. And can you imagine having that thing fly into the board meeting of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs or an adversary of ours? Fred.
I was going to say, a few years back, I saw a video, and it was indoors. It was in a big auditorium, and they showed small drones, mini ones, about the size of a dragonfly, but fly into a face that was on the wall, just and destroy it. And then they had a video, and they showed their capabilities. There was 1,000 of these little drones that came out of the back of a C-130, and they said they had the technology even back then to identify a particular face or a turban or whatever, and just go after those particular people.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
It's also now being applied for 4th of July celebrations, things like that. There was drone shows, 2,000 drones go up and simulate a dragon, fire coming out of the mouth of the dragon. It's all done by somebody programming those drones like we witnessed when we were over there in North Island. Bob Brent and I were 3 of the 6 judges, Brett Crozier, a couple of Bob Radio, and I forget the other guy's name. But we had, 20 some odd teams in there, and they had to fly these drones manually around the course, herd ping pong balls around with the downwash of the airplane, that kind of thing, go through circles and whatnot manually. Then they had to depart folks on their teams that programmed the drones to do it with software, autonomous. Did the same thing. These kids, as part of a STEM program that Bill Nesbitt, the commander of our NJROTC program here, is this guy that spearheaded that thing, got the Navy buy-in, invited these 20 some odd high schools to participate and recruit people like that. 2 of us and judges.
So the bumper sticker on all that is stay tuned because this is an evolving and maturing technology, and so is artificial intelligence. And when those two things go together, our future world is not going to look much like today's. And with that in mind, I am about to conclude the first meeting of 2024 and wish you all good fortune in the coming year. And as Rotarians, I invite you all to go out and do what little part each one of us can do to make our world better and make a difference. And I will see you next week at the Coronado Yacht Club, and we will be putting up our annual panel of financial specialists, financial management and economic specialists who are Coronado Rotarians, and we'll have the financial services panel next week. So go out and do all good Rotary things. Have a great Rotary week, and this meeting is over.
Good job.